This is not over yet. That was the message from Liz Cheney at the latest, but clearly not the last, not the series finale of the January 6th hearings.
Doors have opened, new subpoenas have been issued, and the dam has begun to break. And now, even as we conduct our 9th hearing, we have considerably more to do. We have far more evidence to share with the American people and more to gather. So our committee will spend August pursuing emerging information on multiple fronts before convening further hearings this September.
Congressional investigators are being pretty clear about the next steps. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice is working under the opposite conditions, really under a veil of relative silence, something AG Merrick Garland has said is necessary and intentional. Joining me now to discuss, former FBI counterintelligence agent Peter Strzok. He's also the author of Compromise, Counterintelligence and the Threat of Donald J. Trump. I'm also joined now by Hugo Lowell, a reporter for The Guardian. Peter, I'll start with you. We've been talking for days now about deleted Secret Service text messages, but last night we also learned about some mysteriously empty records at the White House. Take a listen.
On the screen is the presidential call log from January 6th. As you can see, there's no official record of President Trump receiving or placing a call between 11:06 and 6:54 p.m. As to what the president was doing that afternoon, the presidential daily diary is also silent. It contains no information from the period between 1:21 p.m. and 4:03 p.m.
So, Peter, no photos. We have missing text messages, missing records, empty call logs, blank diaries during key hours of really probably one of the most monumental days in American history. Is that something that warrants further investigation?
Certainly, no question about it. I mean, it is possible that if you had one log, one sort of system that was down, that might be explainable. But when you have all of these different sources of data, as you indicated, really in the most consequential day in anybody's living memory, the fact that there isn't data clearly stands out as a huge red flag. And, you know, Donald Trump is displayed when he is doing something wrong, he is very clear about it. You know, when he met with Vladimir Putin, he insisted on no aides with him. He said, I don't want translators. Same thing, what we heard from the hearings last night and before, that, you know, he went to the dining room next to the Oval Office, didn't want any photographers. When he is doing things badly, he wants to be alone and he wants no record of it. So I think it's incumbent on all these different investigators. Remember, we have the January 6th committee that's still going. We have the Department of Justice, which is well underway investigating any number of fronts. And then we had last week the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General announced a criminal investigation into the Secret Service. So there are many different avenues of investigation that are going on right now. All of them have a huge interest in finding out exactly what was in these gaps and trying to find that data and make sense of it.
It's so fascinating to see how quickly this story went from kind of weird, but it transitioned to seems nefarious, definitely should be investigated seriously. And Hugo, I have to note here, you tweeted about the video shared last night of Josh Hawley, which I have to be honest, I laughed about for several straight, like 10 straight minutes. I did in my home alone because it was so funny. He whipped the crowd up into a frenzy with the fists in the air, sort of being the proverbial tough guy on January 6th, protected by the Capitol Police when he did that. And then you can see him here. They put the little circle around him so you can see him running, scurrying out for safety, fleeing the mob that he had incited before. Do you think that, you know, obviously people in the room laughed, but do you think that Josh Hawley today, people are thinking a little bit differently about him and potentially his future prospects as a presidential candidate because of that contrast between before and after the attack on the Capitol?
I think it was a really striking moment for sure. I mean, we know based off our reporting, when he walked past the east front of that Capitol with his raised fist, it really riled up the rioters on that side of the Capitol. They saw him. They saw that as an encouragement. They saw that as justification. They saw that as an endorsement. And so that really was one of the key moments that kind of rallied the crowd that then eventually stormed the east front of the Capitol. I mean, in terms of the kind of political prospects, it's difficult to say, right? Because Senate Republicans have always kind of, banded together over January 6th and decided that they're just going to turn a blind eye to this. I mean, the one thing that really struck me yesterday, Zerlina, was those tapes of Mitch McConnell saying, when can we go back and certify? And, the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy saying, this was all Trump's fault. And yet both of them, in the aftermath of January 6th, moved to block the creation of a commission, and they wanted nothing to do with an investigation into January 6th. So if I'm brutally honest, and based on the conversations that I've had with people, Republican aides on Capitol Hill, his political ambitions are probably not dimmed at all, because that's just how kind of Republicans operate.
Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.